Hi, hello. So in the previous video we saw to create custom actions, and I was saying that I will show you an example a bit more complex. So this example is calling custom Java command, but from an action this time. So we saw in another video how to create custom actions, how to create custom REST APIs, how to create Java custom commands, and how to call them. But let's do something more interesting this time. So I want to pass some parameters into my command, my Java command, and I want this time to get a result. So before we didn't do it. Okay. So custom action, calling custom Java command. So here I have my Java class, and here are the parameters I want to send to my Java command, and I want to get a result. So when I'm calling my command, I have some result. So like we had before, I have the command that is test command. So my class is extending command from BMC. I have some automatic getter and setter. So with input ID, username, and I have an output. So here you see I have input ID, input username as input parameters. But this time I want an answer. I want to return something. So by default, the command never returns anything. So what we have to do is we have to override the response with build response. So for example here, in my execute method that will be called each time I execute my command, I get my URI info, automatically it will input ID and input username will be mapped using the automatic getter and setters. But I want to send back a message, hello world, and what is the input, what is the output. So here you can see that this method, I'm going to store my answer, but I have another method that is overriding the build response method. So with the URI, HTTP headers, and I'm setting in my response in OK, I'm building my get output command answer that I've set, hello world something, and I'm building my response. So basically I'm intercepting the response sent by the system, and I'm saying no, I don't want it, I want my custom one. So that's why when I click on this button, I'm getting this answer. So if we are looking in Postman, command with answer, so I still calling command, in the header I still have requested by X, and in my body, well, it's pretty much the same thing as we saw earlier. The resource type is a Java command, package and Java class, 2 parameters. But this time when I click send, you can see instead of HTTP 204, no content, I have HTTP 200, and I have my response. I overrode. So let's see how we can do that in the UI, but using a command. So if I'm looking inside the view designer, you can see I have two things. The first thing is I'm sending to my command, so I have a custom action, run Java command, accepting 2 input parameters, so which are the Java class and my Java parameters. And then I got a set property. I'm writing into description field, which is here. I'm writing the command result, and the command result comes back run Java command. It's output parameter from my action, from my custom JavaScript action. So as you can see, we have two things here. One, we are going to use effectively an output parameter for a custom action. And as you can see, we are chaining actions, because if the run Java command was not synchronous, so not waiting for the result of the command to execute the set property, it would set the description with nothing. So let's see how we can do that on the UI. So first of all, of course, since we created our command here, we have to declare it in my application.java test command, like the previous one. So in the UI, you can find the example under run Java command under action. So once again, we declare a module action, we implement action, we declare it inside bxmodule.js and ext module.js, like usual. In the config, we have the two input parameters, command class name, command parameter value list. And in the module, in the service, it will be more complicated. We are not going to use this time the rx command resource like we saw earlier. We are just going to build the HTTP command itself. So first of all, I'm getting the parameter list, which is here, and just parsing it, making it an array, so I can send it this way. So don't focus too much on the dirty code. This is what it's doing. It's getting from here and it's building something like that. So I'm using $HTTP, and as you can see, I'm building a post method. So I'm building a post method with an URL, which is the command URL, which is defined here, because don't remember that in an action, when you execute your action, the execute method will be called. So here I'm setting the command URL and I'm calling call command. Call command is passing information like the command URL, command class name, command parameter value list. And don't forget, inside your execute, you're passing the parameters defined in config.js. That's why action is a little tricky, so you need to really focus on small details. So I'm calling call command, I'm building my HTTP request with the headers, x requested by, content type, and I'm passing the data object. So in the data object I have the input ID, input username that I built, and the resource type that I'm adding right now with the class name. So since it's a promise, so I'm waiting a dot then, I'm getting the response, and I'm getting the response data. And as you can see here, I'm returning an output value. What is the output value? It's an object where I have command result response.data. The command result is the output parameter we define here. So once again, in an action, you do not define the output parameters inside config.js. You define it in getOutputParameters. So here, what I'm doing is that when I'm getting the result from my command, I'm getting the answer. I'm storing it inside command result response data, and I'm returning it. So in this case, it will be synchronous. So since it will be synchronous, it will be stored in command result, and I can use it during design time inside the set property, inside the command result. So when I click on it, when I click on here, it's calling the custom command, it's getting the result, and the set property is going to send the result inside this field in synchronous way. If you don't want to do something synchronous, well, you just have to remove the $Q. So this way, just fire and forget, and you don't really care about synchronously. But that doesn't really happen a lot. So I just want to say that it's possible to call command using $HTTP. We really recommend, if you can, to use rx command resource like I showed in the previous video, because you can have like custom error handling, and you have some nice method to create. You don't have to focus about the headers, the method and things like this. Here I just did it to show that it's possible and not to get a result from your command. It's an example.